Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. It's hot out, really hot. And talking of hot, I've got Stu with me. How you doing, Stu?
Nice. Flattery will get you everywhere. Not feeling particularly hot. It's much cooler up here. But yes, it's been pretty hellish at times. I cope pretty well in the heat as long as it's not humid, but even I was, feeling a little bit faint and delicate earlier in the week.
Yeah, if you was a religious person, you'd be going to see this. Just they're previewing the end of days for us, so we better get it sorted by getting rid of all the gays.
Oh, I didn't think you were going there with that one.
Well, I was trying to get in the mind of a devout religious person.
Yeah, true. Actually, if we make sure everybody has only like she, her, and he, them pronouns, Well,
why would we even bother with pronouns?
Yeah,
we never had pronouns when I was a boy.
But they did. That's the thing that's so stupid, is that they don't even realise that that's a construction. But anyway, never mind.
I did see a funny TikTok last week about people arguing about pronouns, and someone went, all this pronoun stuff, it's rubbish, we shouldn't have it, it's it's he, it's she, but if I don't get it, right? So you get someone, they want to change their gender, what do you call them? You can't use they and them. And someone just went, you've just used, what do you call them?
Yep.
So you actually used the pronoun properly before backing it up, you idiot.
I'm afraid so. This is the level we're dealing with.
Yes.
You got to cope with all the time.
Which is now, there's a top biologist, and it's the one I've seen today, which it makes me, they're kicking off on Castor Semenya again.
Yeah.
Because blah blah blah, load of waffle, pseudoscience rubbish, and finishes off with she is a man. Like, what? The what?
I know.
And what?
They're so dumb.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if
you know
you're
what else
going to
can be done. Oh, go on, I won't do it yet because I wasn't into it. God, you carry on.
Well, I was just going to very quickly say, if you want to be a bigot, at least get your bigotry right. You know what I mean? It's got to stop using the woke terms. you got to use your bigoted terms only. Do your homework.
I mean, they're getting lazy. Bigots never used to be lazy.
It's true. It's the heat. I blame the heat.
I blame the heat.
Yeah, it's stopping people being proper bigots. Yeah.
I know. Do you know what gets really hot sometimes?
What's that?
Computers, games consoles. And do you know what you can play on those?
I've no idea. Go on.
DVDs and TV shows and that, innit?
That's right. Yeah, you can.
And video games, Stu.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
What have you been playing? We've never done a segue joke. We've never done a segue about segways yet, have we? Were they called segways?
Yeah.
The bikes things?
That's true. We've not done those. Yeah, those standy platform things. I had to go on one of them years and years and years ago. They're quite fun.
Or what was the Sinclair thing? The C35. I know that's nothing to do with a
C5,
Segway.
yeah.
C5, that's it. Yeah, but it's been a while, so let's bring it back.
Definitely.
C35. Anyway, sorry, Stu, what you been playing? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been playing a couple of things. The first one was Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap. The remake. So
the epic freebie.
Yeah, and in typical me fashion, I got the epic one, and I was like, I'm not really happy about it not being on Steam. I'm going to buy the Steam one. So I bought a Steam copy. It was only like £6, and
so Epic have sold you a game on a rival platform by giving it to you for free. That's the irony, proper guerrilla marketing going on.
I know. It's because I find that heroic launcher on the Steam Deck like really awkward. I get really. So all right, let's put it this way. So Steam on the Steam Deck runs well.
Yeah,
but they acknowledge it's not perfect, so they have you can flip between the full screen version and the desktop version, and even then blah blah blah, and there's all these things, and it's like it's a 98% kind of experience, maybe even less. When you start bringing other stuff into the mix, like Heroic, which in itself isn't great, you're like, oh, my experience is starting to get like really degraded. And for me, I kind of like, oh, sod this, right? I'm spending the money. Yeah. And so it was enough to annoy me enough to get the game. And I was really glad that I did, because I used to own it on the Master System. I'd lent it to a mate, right? This was 1989. Or 1990, and my mate borrowed it, and he got robbed. His house got robbed, and the game got robbed. And I elected to take the money from the insurance rather than get a replacement game. And now I'm like, oh god, no, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, my history with this game goes back a long way, and it is such a good game. And I watched a speed run of it where one of the developers was talking about their conversion of it, and they put so much effort into it. They did a couple of quality of life things that don't really change the play that much, but they do make it a better experience without destroying the core. You can play it in the retro view or the new view. The new view is beautiful. I'd recommend definitely playing it all the way through in the new graphical style, and just switch now and again just to see what it used to look like. And it's a really good game. It's a kind of a half forgotten Metroidvania, and half forgotten because obviously the Master System wasn't very big generally, but it was nothing in America, and America is obviously where all of the the main internet news and gossip and theories and trends come from. So it kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, and it holds up really, really well. There's some janky bits still. There's a couple of annoying things about like infinites on hits. You can get stuck in infinite hits. But other than that, it holds up really, really well. The new style is beautiful. It's really unusual. It's quite quick, but it's kind of deep at the same time, but never being overwhelming. It's just a real classic, and this just gives it new life, and everyone should just dip right into it.
Yeah, I've got it. I've still not played it yet because I've got so much ready to go. And I've decided to sort of like hone what I'm playing and how I'm playing. So I've got a one forever game that doesn't really come to completion. So I've got that Sports Horizon, and then I'm playing one game that has a completion alongside it, which is Tomb Raider at the moment. That's my for funsies stuff, not like stuff for MHG. One of the boys now sort of on, I think it's 5th or 6th in my list of coming next, because I do want to play it again. I remember playing it back in I want to say I probably played it 90s. I want to say I probably played it in the mid 90s. I got round to it first time round, and I really enjoyed it. So it's good to hear the remakes. Good, because quite a lot of modern remakes or remasters are quite poor.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort been put into it. It's quite a few years old now as well, but it's done so well, and it does embarrass quite a few of the remakes that have come out in the last couple of years. Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's how you do it, and the fact you could, I didn't realise that you could jump between new visuals and old visuals, which is something every single modern remake of a game from the 80s and 90s should have.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like if they was to remake Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider, with all fancy new updated graphics and everything, if there is not a button to switch to low polygon mode, I will be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Pointy breast mode, they could call it, just for the marketing.
Yeah. The whole pointy boob thing. It's really funny looking back at all that stuff now. It's bizarre. But
looking back at it and going, oh, that used to get hot.
It's so mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah, I know.
It's when you used to think that because polygons came along and human beings were being represented, it's like, oh my god, they look almost really human.
Yeah. I wish, part of me wishes there was somebody who went, I'm going to get my boobs done like that.
I've seen people cosplay in that.
Yeah.
Low poly mode. That's really good.
Someone should go all in on it. a low poly
Do it in
plastic
real life.
surgery.
Go on, you do it. Go on.
Tell you what, if anyone wants to fund me getting low poly plastic surgery as Lara Croft, I will do it.
Yeah, I think you should.
I promise you that.
I'll try and get the money together because that would be worth it.
I'd be worth it because I'll probably make money afterwards.
True.
I'll go to all the comic cons and people are going, how'd you get it so realistic? I go, because they're real.
Yeah, feel them. You just like cut somebody's hands with them.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, this is strange. But yeah, no, I want to play that. That'll stay in my list of stuff to play that's coming up.
Sweet.
So I'm going to do two, because one's very, very quick. The first game I'm going to quickly chat about is called SokoChess, which is a soccer-bound puzzle-based game, but based around chess. So you get these like chess-style boards of all different shapes and sizes, and the idea is to get the enemy pieces into certain positions on the board. So you use your pieces that can, so like a castle or a pawn or something like that, a rook, sorry, for chess purists, and they can only move as they move. And the enemy pieces can only move as chess pieces move. So you start off and you get like a rook and there's a pawn, and you sort of like, you click on your rook, you click to the pawn, the rook goes forward and pushes the pawn into the spot that it's telling you that the pawn's got to go to. Then it goes further, and then you learn about sacrificing pieces. So you might push one enemy piece to where it's got to go to allow your piece to be taken, to then allow you to position your other chess piece to then push that into its position. So it really takes the rules of soccer-bound puzzle games and the rules of chess really, really well, puts them all together. I don't know how much the game is because it's not got an actual price. Comes out middle of August, about 3 weeks away. But honestly, it's lovely. Lovely little quick puzzle chess game. Absolutely love it. Give that one a go when it comes out.
Sorry.
Go on. No, go on. Ask if you've got a question. Ask a question.
I do have a question, yeah. So I bought that Kavel on your recommendation, and it's really good, but it's terrible on the deck because the pad, the mouse trackpad thing, doesn't work very well. I don't feel it works very well. I'm not a big fan of it at all. I don't use it much, and even if I force myself to, and it's not great. The main bit, because it doesn't have enough travel, so that when you pick a piece up from the bottom and try and drag it onto the grid, unless you've timed it really right, your thumb is coming off by the time it's coming off the pad by the time you reach the thing you need to. Or you can use the trigger, but that's rubbish. So, is there any problem like that?
Or you can use the touchscreen.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. But can you turn the piece at the same time?
I've not tried, actually. I might try that. I might boot that up later and have a go.
I think it's an issue. I do think it's an issue. I mean, it can be overcome, but I do think it is one. So my question is, SokoChess, do you have similar issues or not?
So there could be, if you really wanted there to be those issues, but it's basically you click on your rook and then you click on the square you want it to go to. So there's no dragging.
Right.
So I have played this. Ironically, I haven't played this on the deck yet. I have only played it desktop, which is it's purely because I was working. It came through, and I went, I'll give that a go. And then, oh crap, I better stop playing this at the moment. So it's because it's clicking and dropping rather than dragging and dropping, I don't think you'll have the issues.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's good because it really is an issue on the deck. Well, for me, I'll try. Yeah, because like for those who don't know the game, you kind of drop this Tetronimo into a grid to destroy other like coloured stuff and all that like shaped stuff, and you need to drag it on with the mouse cursor, but obviously you use the pad. It doesn't work very well on the deck. You have to rotate them as well, so I'm wondering if dragging with a finger and being able to press to rotate will work. What
I will say is, obviously, welcome to the Kavel support line. What I will say is, if I remember correctly, there is in the options a drag and drop and a click and hold option.
Right.
So I think you can change it so that you click on the piece you want to take on, and it won't drop it until you click again. don't hold me to that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was there because it was helpful for me when I was playing it on desktop because I struggled to see what was what and keeping the mouse held properly and stuff like that. So I might be wrong, but I'm fairly sure there was an option to change how you move the pieces.
Cool, I'll give that a whirl then later on.
Yeah, but SokoChess, if SokoChess comes in at between, I reckon, £2 and £5, it's an instant buy.
Right.
More than that, then if you're not, unless you're a real big fan of chess puzzles or soccer bang games, then you might want to reconsider getting it straight away. But anything in that coffee price, pick it up.
Sounds fair. Cool.
And my second game that I want to quickly touch on before I get to my main one after you've done your main one, because without even knowing, I've got a feeling they may leak slightly. They might leak slightly. At least I hope I'm right. But anyway, I've been playing a game called Spidersaurs, which is essentially a Contra game, in a way. Basically, it's a run-and-gun platformer. And you've got your weapons. You can upgrade your weapons, and like you pick them up, and then like you fire various different bullets. You run along the levels. You're shooting the enemies as they go, and then you get a bigger boss that you've got to take on and stuff like that. Single player or co-op, whatever you want. It's presented in I suppose what do you call it? A Saturday morning cartoon style.
Yeah.
Like it feels very much like Thundercats, Transformers, A-Team, not A-Team, that's not a cartoon, but Visionaries, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, that kind of thing. It's kind of got that kind of like look to the character design and the in-game animations and stuff like that. But it's not perfect. It's not like the absolute most amazing game you will play, but I'm enjoying it. I'm really having fun. It's not overly difficult, but it's not too easy. The characters are well made. The enemies are varied. The level design's varied. The weapons are different enough that when you pick up a different one you want to try it, but they're not so different that you have to then go, I must only keep this weapon, and then get scared of trying something else. They've balanced the game so well. I think there's like 10 to 12 weapon choices you could have, which I think is a good amount, so it's not overwhelming. And the weapons are quite fun. There's like one looks like a guitar and it shoots out lasers from the guitar as you're playing, and there's like bouncing balls that explode and loads of little fun things. And the enemies are dinosaur spider type things.
Nice.
And it's just ridiculous. It does feel like it was like made by a Leonard Starr or something like that has got involved with it and designed the characters for it. You could almost see this being spun off as like an 80s 90s style TV show. Honestly, it feels licensed in a good way, but it's not licensed. It's just so much fun. And I just again, I'm going to mention price on this. It's 15 quid, just over 15 quid, which might be a bit steep, but in all honesty, if I'd have bought this, I don't think I'd have regretted paying that much.
It certainly looks like the sort of thing I like. I'll put it on the wish list because I've got such a backlog of stuff I've not given enough attention to. So, but it does look good. Yeah,
and I think you can unlock a speedrun mode or something as well. So that's good. It's my way forward. I should have mentioned that. So the kind of quality you're getting. If you like it's not Great Giana Sisters, the other one. Shantae, Half Genie Hero stuff. If you like those sort of games and everything, the quality way forward put into those, then you're kind of well on your way to knowing whether you'll like this as well. They put out DuckTales Remastered, which was a really good remake. All the Shantae games, Mighty Switchfalls. So they've got a good history of putting out these sort of good fun games, and this just continues it on. I highly recommend picking this one up if you're into run and gun games especially.
Cool.
What's up next from you?
Yeah, for me, the next one is a modern game. So, you know, that's always a shock for people. Yeah, and it does have a little bit of purring in the background. Yeah, so yeah, it is Stray, and I'm playing it on the deck. So it's a really good game. It's very quite unusual. So, you know, if you don't know, you control a cat basically, which doesn't happen very often in video games. And you know, for now, yeah, it's gonna, in the next year or two, I think you're gonna see quite a few of them. But yeah, no, it's like you control a cat. It's in third person perspective, third cat perspective, third pussy perspective, or is that too close to the knuckle?
I go first pussy perspective. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, awesome. And that's the title of the episode. And
yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, you kind of you start off. You're part of a pack that's living in a deserted city. It looks a little bit like the one out of the one that I always forget the name of. Oh god,
I want to say Tokyo Jungle.
Yeah, it looks like Tokyo Jungle. It looks like it's the one that's monkey, but it's Enslaved.
Yes.
That's the one.
Oh,
that's why I never remember. I never remember the name of it because it's like nothing to do with monkey and it's nothing to do with cyberpunk. The title, you know, it's like the title is nothing to do with either of those things. Anyway,
also the most underrated game ever. Remake it, get it out now, please.
I would agree. I don't agree with it being the most underrated ever, but I agree it's underrated.
Well, no, that's Remember Me.
Oh yeah, maybe I enjoyed that game. Anyway,
I did.
Enslaved. It definitely needs a remake because the performance of that game on the consoles was hideous.
Yes,
it was awful. It was such a badly the way the game ran. Oh my god, dreadful. Really needs a remaster. Yeah. Anyway. Stray human being. Stray. So yeah, it's a third person, third cat, third pussy adventure where you're part of this cat pack. You get separated from the pack by accident and you find yourself in a deserted town or city, and it's a bit ramshackle and it's all very cyberpunky but kind of ramshackle post-cyberpunky, and you kind of soon find out that there are no humans, and it's all this is not a spoiler, this is like in the first opening section. And that there are a load of robots around who are very kind of... They're basically... Well, I won't tell you this because that might be classed as a spoiler. But you interact with them and your adventure and where you go from there is very much based around that interaction. And so it's very interesting because it's talking about being an outsider, being an alien in an environment you're not used to. So the cat copes, but it's not perfect for it. And the way that it interacts with that environment is very catty, obviously. And you have lots of cat things you can do, like you can stretch and scratch and meow and curl up and flarch against people, rub yourself against them, all of that sort of stuff, as well as do things like, jump higher and, into more awkward areas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's the robot side of it, which humans can't do as well. So it's like, little programming things, making adjustments to the world, stuff I won't spoil. So it's good, it's clever like that. And the very first part of the game is a little bit sort of linear and on rails, which you'd expect, and that's fine. The next bit opens out and you're doing, not linear, but from like mini hub to mini hub, doing environmental puzzles. And that's great, and it works so well. Then you get into the town and it's lost me a little bit. Now, not completely, but my interest has dropped quite a bit because it's become a little bit open world. It's a small open world, but it's very vertical because you're a cat and you can jump quite high. There's not a massive amount of literal, ground floor area, but there's a lot of verticality. And in that vertical space, you're getting asked to do some thinly veiled fetch quests, really. And to be quite honest with you, that has upset me a little bit. I'm like, I'm kind of going back and forward through areas I've seen lots of times, looking for items, starting conversations that only move on when you've had another conversation, which is a bit sort of Majora's Mask-y kind of thing, but not as clever. But
yeah,
I need to give it a bit more time. I've put 4 hours in so far, but in fairness to the game, 2 hours of that is me wandering around going, got no idea where I'm going, because that's just what I'm like with these kinds of games. I've terrible sense of direction and memory for where I've been. But I would recommend it if people like that kind of game. If you like environmental puzzles, you like traversal that's a bit more unusual than normal, and you're into the concept, I would definitely go for it, because it's not going to be like anything else you play this year. It'll be like everything that you play in 2 years' time.
Yes.
But for now, it's quite unique. So if it sounds appealing, definitely go for it.
Yeah, no, it does. I had this ordered from CD Keys, and for whatever reason, it fell through. So I've kind of like I'll have to wait a bit, and I'll tell you why I'll be waiting a bit when it comes to my game. And I've got a couple of issues that are putting me off, like really wanting it at the moment. That's to do with accessibility, which is a shame. Some other visually impaired people have said like the icons are too small. There's nothing to do to improve some of the balancing of like of text and contrast and stuff like that. So I'm going to only be able to play this when I'm having a particularly good day. Which then goes, well, what if there's something else I want to play? So that's kind of putting me off at the moment. But that being said, everything that's been described about it and most of what you've said about it still makes me want to play it. And, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what some other studios might do with the concept. Because I like the idea of a vertical open world, because you don't get many of those.
Yeah. I think there's going to be even more of that as well as the game goes on, which is a really good thing. And the things that they've put in there, I really like. I'm being deliberately vague because there's not a massive amount to it so far. Like, once you explain the concept, you could probably work out yourself what sort of things are going to crop up, which is why I'm being really careful about spoilers. But there are things in there and interactions and the way that you change things in the environment and tweak things that are very, very clever, and they always err on the side of fun and often funny. It's kind of a wistful, little melancholic kind of a story so far. Not for the cat's happy, but for the world in general. But the things that you do in that world tend to err on the side of cautious, kind, generous, community-led. They're all about kind of helping people, and it wins great big plaudits from me for that, because how I interact with games is most of them are very, very, very basic. The ones that I play, they don't have any real thought behind them. They just tend to be action, even if that action is a puzzle game or a racing game. They tend to be action based. But the odd one that I stumble on that has this kind of feeling really deserves to be lauded, and Half-Life Alyx is like that. Although it's got horror underneath it, it's still a very good thing about human interaction. And I'd say this is very good about non-human, human-adjacent interaction. It's really interesting from that side, and I think it deserves all the plaudits it's getting, just for that fact.
100%, and I've often found more and more recently that the games that actually have no humans in it have the most humanity as well. Yeah. Which I'm gonna come to in a minute, but I really, really do want this, and I will definitely pick it up at some point. When, I don't know, but I will be getting it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, just very lastly on that point, I think now that we're, that everyone has started to understand climate change in a much more, physical, visceral kind of a fashion. Cyberpunk has made a comeback, and the part of Cyberpunk that was often not really focused on, which is that the climate was destroyed. Because I read Neuromancer for the first time about a year ago or so, and I was surprised at how prescient it was about climate damage and basically people living in a flooded, overheated world, that was in an awful state. And I think that people are starting to do that, and in fiction, and I think Citizen Sleeper is a kind of spiritual brother to this game, because that's a kind of post-human, post-environmental destruction kind of a theme to it. And if you can face coping with that kind of stuff in your fiction, it's really good to get into at the moment, because people they're using it to express sadness, but also hope and resilience and stuff like that. So it's a funny time, but it's an interesting one.
So you mentioned Citizen Sleeper being kind of almost like a sister piece to Stray. I could go for the one thing that gets further closer to Stray and gets in between that and Citizen Sleeper. We don't have a cat this time. We have a fox. I've been playing Endling, or to give it its full title, because I keep calling it Endling. Endling: Extinction is Forever. Now, when you go to the selling point, experience a world ravaged by mankind through the eyes of the last fox on Earth in this eco-conscious adventure. Discover the destructive force of the human race, like day after day corrupts, pollutes, blah blah blah. But basically, it's the cyberpunk, stray cyberpunk, but without the cyberpunk. It's like the immediate aftermath. But basically, you play as the last fox on Earth, or the last mother fox on Earth. And you've basically got to survive. It's a 2D scroller, absolutely glorious art. It's got some of the looks of like Firewatch, where it's like the oranges sort of like and the shadows, if it worked really, really, really well. Stylized to all hell. I spent the first 10 minutes in the game just hitting the Steam R1 button, Steam R1 button, Steam R1 button, because it's just beautiful, taking screenshot after screenshot. Basically, you play as this fox. You need to go through, you need to scavenge and hunt and basically keep your 4 cubs alive as you progress through. It's a fairly short story. You've basically got to hunt, you've got to avoid becoming prey to other things. There are still humans in it, but guess what? The humans are arseholes, and they're destroying stuff. And you've got to make pretty, let's say, some Sophie's Choice decisions. So Foxy's Choice? Oh, no?
Yeah,
maybe not.
I'll take that.
Yeah, okay. You go from shelter to shelter. And when you're out and you've got to take your cubs with you, it's it feels really, really tense. Like, if you get something wrong, you're going to lose them. That you need to, as you're going, it's got an upgrade system, but you don't upgrade yourself. You're teaching your cubs new skills. So you're upgrading them to teach them how to survive. I've not finished it yet, but put it this way. The opening, before you get to the title card, I played it, and I then had to wonder why my face was wet.
Oh, no.
There's no voiceovers. There's no dialogue whatsoever. Just the mix of the visuals, the atmosphere, the audio that's around you, and you just get to a point and you come to this realization. And I just sat there, just tears. I was like, nothing had happened in the game, but you hit this realization of what this game's going to be about, and just like, oh Jesus Christ, I need to wipe these away. What's wrong with me? I'm leaking. But it's, oh my God. I mean, if we're going to use this as an example, and you want to use crappy analogies, if Stray is Michael Bay's Armageddon, then Endling is Deep Impact, where it tries to go, tell more of a story than just go, this is all out, this is the one everyone's going to remember. It's very much in the same realm. It's got a message to tell, but it tells it in a different way, and it's deep. I think it's deeper in what it tries to do, and that's not to dump on Stray, because I think Stray, from not just you, what I've heard from others, it's wonderful. It does everything so well, gets its messages across as well as it needs to do, and stuff like that. But you might understand why I said like I'm not in a rush to play it now, because this. Oh my word! I if you've played Stray, I would not say jump into this straight away. It will destroy you. Take a break, and then maybe after a few weeks, after playing another game, whatever, then play this. But it looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's dark but filled with moments of hope. It's emotional to the nth degree, and I can't just wow. It's a masterpiece in storytelling for me. Some people might get annoyed with the game's length, but again, I think if a game like this outstays its welcome, the message gets lost. If it's any shorter, the message doesn't get through. So they've nailed that side of it. My biggest issue I have with it is, if you want to play video games to escape what's going on in this crap hole of a planet at the moment, this is not the one to do it.
That's not the one. Yeah.
It shines a very negative light on what we are doing to the world. And it plays wonderfully on the Steam Deck. Bizarrely, there's people who've been calling the game fun. The game is not fun. There's no fun in this game, unless you're really that depraved. There is no fun. It's depressing. It's again. Do you know have you played this War of Mine?
No, I've not.
Why have you not played this War of Mine?
I've just not been interested in it.
Right. So you're not the only one. Right. A lot of people have either played it very briefly or haven't played it yet because it's depressing. You don't want to play that game unless you're in the right frame of mind for it. But there are other games like that. You've got to be in the right frame of mind. This is close to that. If you don't want to wake up to what's going on in the world and be told, look, if we carry on, this is actually going to be somewhat of a survival guide for what we're all going to be suffering from, then don't maybe jump into it. But at the same time, my word, you need to play this game because it is something else.
It's well on my list. It's I'll give it a few months, to let Stray kind of sink in and then face it. But the deck thing, just to quickly go back to Stray, because it's worth talking about the accessibility, like you said. It's really, really difficult to see stuff on deck. My eyesight's okay at close range, and even I struggle very hard to spot stuff, and you can't make it any bigger. And it performs quite badly on deck. Like, I've got it working quite well, but only by making a lot of compromises. I think it's like it's not very well coded for
Oh really? Because it's got the verified, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, but it works. It works. It'll run, no problem. It's not a problem with Linux or the Proton layer. It's just a problem with the way the game is coded. It's very heavy and a bit stuttery. My settings for it are basically like, the key one is make sure you uncap the frame rate and then cap it on the deck at 40 frames, 40 hertz, and then 40 frames per second. But use the scaling to knock it right the way down. Like I've done the visual scaling down to 60% of full, which does make it a bit shimmery, but it actually looks still pretty good, and it runs really well with barely any drops. But apart from that, if you don't use that, it's going to be you'd struggle to get 30 frames. It'd probably be under that quite a lot. So it doesn't run very well, but I'm sure it will get patched to be better.
Endling, on the other hand, straight out the box, absolutely straight out the box, fine. And I want a plush, the little fox cubs plushies, please. Do a little plush set, like each of the 4 fox cubs and the mum. I'd buy that.
Somebody on Etsy needs to start producing those.
Plastic free, of course. But yeah, it's weird to end on a game that's so depressing but so joyous at the same time. It's almost like, the world isn't just black and white.
Right.
And video games are beginning to understand that, even if the people in power aren't.
Yeah, I agree with you about choice of foxes. I think it might be because they're kind of they're wild, but they're also urban at the same time.
Yeah,
and that's not the case with dogs and cats because they're domestic animals. But yeah, foxes kind of live cheek by jowl with us. They're intelligent. They're going to face the same sort of problems we face, and it's interesting. It is interesting. I think people are doing some really good work at the moment with picking the right animals to explore climate change with.
Yeah, and again, indie devs continue to absolutely knock it out of the park with stuff like this.
Yes.
This is by a team called, or what are they called? Hero Beach Studios. And I think this is their first gig. I might be wrong. It's the first one it's the only game they've got on Steam. So the only worry I've got for them is they've set a high bar.
Yeah.
Unless they know something we don't, and they know they've only got time to make one game. Who knows?
Do you know, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But yeah, no, absolutely wonderful. And again, just point out, as the world falls apart around us, enjoy the things you enjoy, regardless of what other people think. As long as you're not hurting anyone, obviously, you're not, contributing to destroying the planet completely and making other people's lives a misery. Just enjoy what you enjoy. Take the moments of fun you can have. If anyone says to you what you do is childish or pointless, it's not. I saw someone sort of going when people say, I heard things like someone says to their kids they're wasting their life because they spend all their time doing things they enjoy and they're not going out to get a job and stuff like that. And it's just kind of what is ambition? Is ambition to work in something you hate doing, to provide for a family you may not necessarily have wanted at the time, but you will still live by, doing all the stuff? Or should ambition be just actually doing the things you enjoy and enjoying your life? And it's kind of weird. I'm kind of I want to start working again because I want to, not because I have to, because I want to. I think the sooner we get to that point in life where we get a government or whoever in charge that can go, look, work because you want to, not because you have to, I think we'll start seeing the world improve greatly. Which is a weird segue back into other stuff. But yeah, it's just enjoy yourselves, people. We don't know how much time we've got left.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself. It's absolutely like that. And I saw a thread on Reddit the other day that was has your opinion on climate change altered since? Yeah. I did consider the words carefully there. Yeah, has it altered since the heat wave in the UK? And I thoroughly expected it the most reactions to be, well, I always understood climate change, and I realised it was close, but this has really brought it home. But no, it was mostly I didn't even think about climate change. It wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't on my agenda, and this has started bringing it home to me. I was like, good God, yeah, we need to. It just shows the importance of these games. It's so important, and getting the message out over and over again, because people really don't take it in. I mean, it was bad enough with COVID, where it's invisible. Unless you've had it yourself, you can't prove it's there. Yeah, I'm talking in sort of general, everyday, man on the street kind of terms. But climate change, you could. I don't know how people can't have seen every summer being hotter than the last, every winter being warmer than the last, and not feel that climate change is happening. But apparently, They're not. So it's really important that these games come out because they will make people think, and people have to start thinking.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And don't like him. I think he's, all the royal family are knobheads, but Prince Charles was banging that drum ages ago. Hypocritical sometimes, but again, he's been banging that drum. And then other people have banged that drum and just get totally ignored. And then people get up in arms when protesters go to extremes. And if you actually listen, they wouldn't need to do it. It's as simple as that. But hey, hopefully, again, the younger generations are showing that there is a change in attitude. So the sooner we get rid of the cronies, the better. And I don't, we won't see the benefit, Stu. We won't see the benefit. But
no.
The future generations, our kids, stuff like that, hopefully for them, possibly. Let's hope. Yes. I do want to end on something really positive though that's going on in the UK at the moment.
Please do.
I mean, obviously this is a true story. Something positive is going on in the UK. The women's Euros are here, and I think we are seeing a watershed moment. We're seeing a turning, we're turning corners, and any other analogy you can throw at it of how the women's game is viewed in this country. Just prior to recording, so on the Tuesday, we recorded this one on the Friday. England played Spain in a quarter-final match, and I believe it was like one of the biggest television audiences for a women's game in the UK. And it was a really good game. England came from 1-down to win 2-1 in the end. And for me, what done it? I've been a big supporter of women's football for many years, and I've seen it gone from when you could tell it's women that are trying to play football. Lots of mistakes, passes aren't very good, like rubbish shots are going in because the goalies weren't very good. That's a thing of the past now. Anyone tuning in for the first time would have seen a game of football. They wouldn't have just seen women playing football. They would have seen a game of football. And it was just really good to see. And for the first time in about 20 odd years, I celebrated England goals because I can't stand the England national team usually, but it's so important to the future of the women's game in this country. And for selfish reasons, my daughter Edith, she wants to play when she's older, and she, over the next 15, 20 years, it's writing. If it goes right, it could be, I say, like a potential proper career for her. But you saw, I went to a couple of games. I had to miss one because I had a bleed in my eye, so couldn't go. But I went to like the Germany-Denmark game. My family went to the Germany-Finland game last weekend. And one thing I've noticed, the crowds at these places with the women's football is totally different. There are more families there, lots of young kids there. It's not as tribalistic. Fans are completely mixed. You wouldn't imagine going to see England versus Spain in the men's Euros and seeing like a mix of English and Spanish fans all together, because it would still kick off because of what the fan base is like. But the women's game, I sat, when I went, I've got a German shirt, I sat there. There was other people I think I saw with like England shirts on, other people with Denmark shirts on, all just intermingling, no one caring who supported who. And the attitude was there, and the football's good. So one message I want to get out is anyone who watched England-Spain and enjoyed it, go and see a local women's game. Just once this season. Whether it's a WSL, whether it's the Championship, whether it's even much further down the leagues. Find out who your local women's team is. Go and see them. Go and see them.
Yeah.
It's, if you've got young daughters, even young sons, whatever, take them. Let them get exposed to it. Because it's changing. We're starting to see the benefits of what happens when women are given equal, it's not even equal footing at the moment in sport, but when they're given something. It was banned for 50 years, the sport. And we're seeing, only now starting to see the recovery from it. I still maintain if it wasn't banned, women's football would be on a par If not, well, yeah, no, let's say on a par, because I'm not going one would be better than the other. On a par with men's football right now.
Yeah.
And it was only the patriarchy that stopped that happening. But it's growing, and it's brilliant to see. And it gives me, again, something that gives me hope, and I've seen it firsthand as well. Even though I've got a I don't even know what the phrase is, a thingy in the fire, or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the thing when you've got a stake in something?
Well, you got a stake in it. Or you could say, yeah, you got an iron in the fire, but,
Whatever, yeah. My daughter wants to play. So I am very invested in it, and yeah, it's just brilliant. If you're listening to this around the time it actually goes out live, you've got 2 more games potentially for England, the semi-finals and potentially a final, maybe even a parade. Watch one. I implore you, watch one game of women's football. The quality is outstanding now.
Yeah, I fell away from footy, which is why we don't talk about it on the podcast, really. Fell away from it years ago, and it was never to do with the game itself, which I love. It was to do with, the pantomime acting of the players, the preciousness, the not turning up for matches, the not turning up in spirit for matches, even if they were there bodily, not being able to watch it on regular TV and having to pay a fortune to watch it. It's just like all these factors that just made it just uninteresting, unfun, and as it's just an organised event. And there's practically none of that with the women's game. We were away last week, so missed quite a lot of the matches, but I saw 2 of them, and neither of them England ones, unfortunately. But yeah, really, really enjoyed watching them, and it's much more entertaining. It flows better. There's more emphasis on passing. There's less showboating. It's more of a team sport. Generally speaking. It's really, really good to watch, and I would echo what you said and get on it. I'm definitely doing that.
The one thing you get as well, now I'm not going to say this is on the fault of the players or anything in the men's game, because they do reach out at times, but obviously if you're Mo Salah, you're Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever, it's very difficult to spend one-on-one time with a fan unless it's properly organised, because purely the amount of people that want your attention. But there's a much closer community in the women's game. Edith knows in her mind, Liverpool's head coach Matt Beard, she knows the players by name. Some of the players know her by name. She's got her favourite. She's got a favourite player from her. She's got her jersey that was given to her, which I know again it happens, but she speaks to her. When they went to the Finland game last weekend, they went because Liverpool just signed a Finnish player called Emma Koivisto, and she was playing for Finland. So we went, and Edith spent her time in the crowd chanting for Emma Koivisto and Matt Beard's Mighty Reds. I put videos up on Twitter and TikTok of it. And she got retweeted by Matt Beard. She got a direct reply from Emma Koivisto as well, which is just brilliant to see. And again, they understand, I think the players, the staff, everyone understand their roles in growing this game. That if you could give a young girl of 5 years old that level of even just a heart, just say I've seen this, and we see you. It's enough to drive them to want to push on that bit further, and starting to see that they've got something to aim for. When she was 3, she wanted to play for Liverpool. She said, I want to play football, I want to play for Liverpool. And she said, I only want to play for, I want to play with Mo Salah. And we weren't going to tell her she can't do that, but we knew that wasn't an achievable dream. I'm not saying it's impossible, because there's no laws against it, but it's not an achievable dream. But now she sees her heroes aren't Mo Salah. They aren't Sadio Mane, they aren't Jordan Henderson, Alisson, Van Dijk, any of those. Her heroes are Missy Bo Kearns, are Jazz Matthews, are Emma Koivisto, are Jade Bailey. They're her heroes, and she's met them, she spoke to them, and she's she can do that, and that you're not taken away from girls anymore. You're not going, this is all you could do. You're now going, actually, what do you want to do? Yeah, you can do that. And the women's Euros being on TV, the more money being pumped into the WSL. Again, eventually it's going to hit a tipping point, unfortunately, where maybe it's not as easy to get that interaction and get there. But at the moment, it's growing, and a young generation are being taken along for the ride. And it's brilliant to see. Absolutely brilliant to see.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. That's all great. That's all very, very hopeful stuff. And yeah, long may it continue. And best of luck as well.
Just don't destroy the planet before she makes her debut, please.
Totally. Yeah. Let's keep it where it is.
Destroy it after. That's fine. It's not, but at least let me see her make her debut in 20 years' time or whatever it is.
Totally.
Be much. It'd be 15. It would be less than that now. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's it from me. I wanted to end on a positive note because it was getting a bit. The games are good, but it was getting a bit depressing, maybe. And I don't never like ending on a depressing note. So I'm going to shut up now, Stu. I'm going to shut up.
Well, that is very much not a depressing note, like you say. It's very hopeful and very, very interesting. And my general feeling is always that most people are really nice. Like, most people are genuinely good people. It's only like a very small minority, unfortunately the ones with power a lot of the time, who give the false impression that there's a lot of horrible people around. And just hearing about those players and their reactions, that's fantastic, and it really does give you hope for the future. So yeah, no, that's brilliant. And in the meantime, obviously, you know, as Brad alluded to, make sure you indulge in all your hobbies. Don't feel guilty about them. Only work in a way that is safe for yourself. Don't overdo things just for company. You know, we're becoming the Communist Party on this podcast, which is actually, you know, a pretty good way to go, I think. But there you go. But yeah, no, make sure you organise and unionise if you can, and you know, look after yourself first and foremost, as well as you're looking after the people around you. But yeah, as usual, follow us on all the socials, join our Discord if you want to chat about anything at all. And in the meantime, until next time, stay safe and stay sane.